जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter number 10. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Text number 37 to 40. Prajapatin manun devan rishin pitruganan pruthak siddhacharan gandharvan vidyadhasura guhyakan किन्नराप्सरसो नागान् सर्पान् किं पुरुषान् नरान् मातृरक्षपिशाञ्चाश्च प्रेतभूतविनायकान् कुष्माण्डोन्मादवेतालान् यातुधानान् गृहानपि खगान् मृगान् पशून् वृक्षान् गिरीन्द्रूप सरीसृपान् द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधा येन्ये जलस्थलनभौकस कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः. So we'll recite the last verse together. द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधा येन्ये जलस्थलनभौकसाः कुशला कुशला मिश्राः कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः. द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधा येन्ये जलस्थलनभौकसः कुशला कुशला मिश्राः कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः. द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधा येन्ये जलस्थलनभौकसः कुशला कुशला मिश्राः कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः. द्विविधा चतुर्विधा येन्ये जलस्थलनभौकसाः कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः द्विविधाश्चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौ कसाः कुशला कुशला मिश्राः कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः द्विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्राः कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः द्विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः माताजी द्विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा यस्विमाः द्विविधा चतुर्विधा येने जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः द्विविधा कुशला चतुर्विधा जलस्थलनभौकसा कुशला कुशला मिश्रा कर्मणां गतयस्त्विमाः word to word dvividha the moving and the standing living entities chatuhvidaha living entities born from embryos eggs perspiration and seeds ye others anye all jala water sthala land nabha okasaha birds kushala in happiness akushalaha in distress mishraha in mixed happiness and distress karmanam according to one's own past deeds gatayaha as a result of tu but imaha all of them translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O King, know from me that all living entities are created by the Supreme Lord according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and his sons like Daksha, The periodical heads like Vaivasvat Manu, the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, the great sages like Bhrigu, Vyasa, and Vasishtha, the inhabitants of Pitraloka and Siddhaloka, the Charanas, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Asuras, Yakshas, Kinnaras, and angels, the serpentines, the monkey shaped Kimpurushas, the human beings, the inhabitants of Matruloka, the demons, Pishachas, ghosts, spirits, lunatics, and evil spirits, the good and evil stars, the goblins, the animals in the forest, the birds, the household animals, the reptiles, the mountains, the moving and standing living entities, the living entities born from embryos, from eggs, from perspiration, and from seeds, and all others, whether they be in the water, land, or sky, in happiness, in distress, or in mixed happiness and distress. All of them, according to their past deeds, are created by the Supreme Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The varieties of living entities are mentioned in this list, and with no exception from the topmost planet down to the lowest planet of the universe, all of them in different species of life are created by the Almighty Father, Vishnu. Therefore, no one is independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita 14.4, the Lord therefore claims all living entities as His offspring in the following verse. Sarvayoni shukaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyo nir aham bija pradapita. The material nature is compared to the mother. Although every living being is seen to come out of the mother's body, it is still a fact that the mother is not the ultimate cause of such a birth. The father is the ultimate cause of birth. Without the father's seed, no mother can give birth to a child. Therefore, the living beings in different varieties of forms and positions within the innumerable universes are all born of the seeds of the Almighty Father, the personality of Godhead. And only to the man with a poor fund of knowledge, they appear to be born of the material nature. Being under the material energy of the Supreme Lord, all living entities, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, are manifested in different bodies according to their past deeds. The material nature is one of the energies of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita 7.4. The material nature is inferior in comparison to the living entities, the superior nature. The superior nature and inferior nature of the Lord combine to manifest all universal affairs. Some of the living entities are relatively happy in better conditions of life, whereas others are in distressed conditions of life. But factually, none of them are actually happy in material conditional life. No one can be happy in prison life, although one may be a first-class prisoner and another a third-class prisoner. The intelligent person should not try to be promoted from third-class prison life to first-class prison life, but should try to be released from the prison altogether. One may be promoted to first-class prisoner, but the same first-class prisoner is again degraded to a third-class prisoner in the next term. One should try to be free from prison life and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the real goal for all types of living entities. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So in this purport we see Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that even though there are so many different varieties of living entities created by the power of Lord Vishnu, we should understand that ultimately these are just different bodies which are situated in different conditions of life. For example, in the heavenly planets, there is better life, there is better facilities for sense gratification, and in the hellish life, it's a very terrible life for everyone who is living under those conditions of life. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10 topics, this particular verse can be categorized into sthanam, which describes the different creation, different living entities that are awarded different bodies, different conditions of life according to their past karma. So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that according to one's karma, one gets a particular body. Karmana jayate jantu, karmane naiva viliyate. So according to one's karma, one will get a particular body, and according to karma, one will be forced to leave that body. So many a times, in general, living entities are attracted to the higher planetary systems. They think that the life there is very beautiful. The life in the heavenly planets is more relaxing. I don't have to go 9 to 5 work. I don't have to struggle so much. Life will be easy, which is fact. In the heavenly planets, the life is really, really easy, and there is immense sense gratification that is available very easily. The body is strong. You don't have to go through old age, no disease, only birth, and then you're ready to enjoy. Even though it's not like animal life, even though there are very strict rules, but there is a lot of sense gratification that is available in the heavenly planets. Here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that all these bodies, different bodies, even the ghosts, lunatics, pishachas, spirits, evil spirits, all different bodies, they are ultimately creation of Lord Krishna, and they are awarded according to the karma. Here also Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that the material nature is one of the energies of the Lord, and the superior nature, the living entities are superior nature, and we are superior to even the material nature. How can we understand that? Dhruva Maharaj, he started performing austerities. First month, he was performing austerities to a great extent. Then the second month, he intensified his austerities. He started not eating any grains, not any kind of regular food. Third month, he thought, let me intensify more. I want to achieve Lord Krishna very fast. So third month, he intensified the austerities more. He started eating only the dry leaves. Fourth month, he stopped eating anything. He even stopped drinking. Now, finally, 5th month, he thought, I am at least breathing this air, that is also sense gratification. I'm going to stop that too. I want Lord Krishna right now. I just want him so badly that he even stopped breathing there. And what was the effect of that? Just imagine only one living entity, Dhruva Maharaj, and he was only 5 years old. He stopped breathing, and what was the effect? It affected the entire universe. All the other living entities started suffocating. It appeared as if that one living entity, which is the superior energy of Lord, can even affect the entire inferior energy. So, in one sense, one living entity, like each one of us, has that potential that we can control the inferior Prakriti by Lord's mercy. But it appears that it's possible, as what happened in Dhruva Maharaj's case, that Lord Brahma had to make some calls like, what's going on here? My entire creation is suffocating. Ultimately, Lord Vishnu had to show himself. And he was so pleased that just 5-year-old Dhruva, he is performing such austerities. So if one is resolute on the path of devotional service, one can achieve Krishna's favor quite easily. The problem is we get distracted. We are not resolute on the path of devotional service. So that's the purport in the next paragraph. Srila Prabhupada also mentions the last paragraph that some of the living entities are relatively happy. That we see that, the demigods are so happy. Some of them are in the lower planetary systems. They are in distress. But factually, everybody is in the prison house. A Brahma Stambha Paryantam Sarva Mayam Mayam Jagat. Satyam Satyam Punas Satyam Harir Namayva Kevalam. It says that from Lord Brahma until to the lowest of the straws in the lower planetary system, everything is covered by the material energy of the Lord. The only truth, the only spiritual thing that comes in the material world is Harir Namayva Kevalam. From Brahma to the lowest planetary system, even if someone becomes very pious and achieve the higher planetary system, but still he has to come back to the earth. A Brahma bhuvanaloke punaravartino Arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So that is very important aspect, the difference between serving Krishna and serving any other demigod. Trying to gain the favor of any other demigod, the maximum we can get is ultimately temporary sense gratification. Just like somebody may have a good bank balance and may think that, okay, I'm going to go on a vacation, Hawaii. I'm going to check in Marriott. I'm going to relax. I'm going to live in the best of a hotel room, everything for me. I'm going to enjoy. So that person may punch in credit card, and he may start living in a nice facilities, in the nice hotel, in the nice Hawaii, like heaven. But every day, some balance is being taken from his credit card, from his bank account. Every day some balance is being deducted. The person is thinking, I'm going to enjoy here eternally. But is that the case? No, when the balance will be over, the same people who are being so nice to him, they're like, good morning, sir. What can I get for you for breakfast? What would you like to eat? How can I serve you? Same people will kick him out. They will say, okay, you're a bankrupt loser, get out. The same people. So that's what happens when a person goes in the heavenly planets enjoys there. But every moment in the heavenly planets is expensive. Your pious credits are being deducted from your bank account. And as soon as your karma, the good balance of karma is finished, then you are kicked out. That's why Srila Prabhupada always stressed that one should only and completely, exclusively surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead, only Krishna. There was one follower of Lord Shiva in South India. Srila Prabhupada, when he met him, Srila Prabhupada told him that, why do you worship Shiva? Even Lord Shiva worships Krishna. So he said, so ultimately it's fine, Prabhupada, like I worship Shiva, Shiva worships Krishna, that means I worship Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada said, why do you have to go through someone? You can directly serve Krishna through a spiritual master. You don't have to worship any other demigod as such. That person said that I'm so attached to Lord Shiva that I cannot give up that. Srila Prabhupada said, that's fine. You can worship Shiva. Even gopis worshipped Shiva. But their goal is not worship of Shiva. When they go to Lord Shiva, they ask for love for Krishna. Their ultimate aim is Krishna. Even Rukmini Devi, when she went in the temple of Ambika, she is not praying that, oh, Mother Ambika, give me some nice facility, give me more beautiful body, let my skin glow more. She is not saying all this. She is saying, Namasya Tvambike Anukshanam. Bhuyat Patir Me Bhagavan. Give me this benediction that Bhagavan, Krishna, let him be my husband. That's my desire. Please, you grant me that desire. You are the sister, so you can give me that desire. Srila Prabhupada told this gentleman in Chennai, he said that usually the demigod worship is called puja because it is always with some interest. It's like a business transaction that I will do this for you and you give me this. So Srila Prabhupada said it's called puja, and worship of Krishna is called bhakti. So that's the difference. So this person was not that easy. He said that, then Prabhupada, how about I do bhakti for Shiva? He didn't want to give up. Then Srila Prabhupada said, that can be done, but in general, if someone goes to a liquor store, he can't ask for milk. He can't say that, okay, I'm going to sit there and drink milk. Usually liquor store means people who love drinking liquor go there and then they have their own crazy life there. So Srila Prabhupada said that the devotees of Krishna, when Krishna is giving that facility, that direct surrender can be done, then why to give up that possibility? So Srila Prabhupada always stressed on surrendering to Lord Krishna. When Krishna comes down, descends on the earth, one of the important things Krishna does is establish his own supremacy by many a times defeating demigods. Krishna wants to show the world that these so-called demigods that you are worshipping, they are also under my control. They are also not independent controllers. They are reporting to me. So just like when Krishna came, he had Brahma Vimohan. He illusioned Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma thought this little boy, he cannot be Lord Vishnu. He doesn't look like that powerful, or he's not. He's just mingling with the cowherd boys. Doesn't look like he's snatching food from them, and he is giving them his remnants, and doesn't look like he's Lord Vishnu. But when Brahma stole the cows and the cowherd boys, Then Krishna replaced them, and ultimately Lord Brahma had to surrender. He is like, oh, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same with Indra. When Indra attacked, that, okay, Krishna stopped my worship, then I'm going to attack his town, Vrindavan. So he kind of like brought the Samvartaka clouds, and it's like a hose water pipe he had, like he started so much of water. But Krishna had such a simple response that Krishna had a big umbrella. Krishna told all the Brajavasis, don't worry, so much of water coming, don't worry, I have a big umbrella for you. Which one was that umbrella? Govardhan. Krishna lifted the Govardhan and he took everybody under his care, shelter. All the Brajavasis were completely happy. Here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when Indra was pouring down so much of water, appeared like there is a time of annihilation. So much of water was coming, everyone was frightened outside. But the devotees who had taken complete shelter of Krishna, they were having the best time of their lives. Looking at beautiful smiling face of Lord Krishna, they were completely happy. They were so happy that they did not even care of their own hunger. They never felt hungry, thirsty. They were just so happy. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says there were two type of rains happening that time. The first rain was Bhavatapa Vrushti, the massive rain of the material existence, the birth and death, old age, disease. That rain that was coming down from Indra can be compared to the material existence, the Bhavatapa, the distress of material world that is pouring down on each one of us. Everybody who is suffering in this material world, we are going through that rain. But those devotees who take complete shelter of Krishna, they said that Krishna, you are our only refuge. You are the ultimate supreme shelter. Just like Uttara prayed, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyastvada Bhayam Pashye Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. She says that Deva Deva, Krishna, you are not Deva. She did not call Krishna Deva. She said, Deva Deva, you are the God of gods. You are the God of so-called demigods. Like people think, oh, Indra is a god. Lord Shiva is a god. Brahma is a god. But Krishna, you are not that. You are God of those gods. So you are the supreme God. And she says that I do not seek shelter from anyone else. Nanyas tvada bhayam pashya, because no one can give that shelter. Because they themselves are under the material energy, all the demigods. Except Lord Shiva, of course, he is transcendental. He is as good as Lord Vishnu. But all the other demigods, they cannot give you that shelter. When Hiranyakashipu did so much of austerities and then Lord Brahma comes, Hiranyakashipu says, I want the benediction of immortality. And Lord Brahma's response was, get the hell out of here. I am myself not immortal. How can I give you what I don't have? How can I give you immortality? Because I am myself not immortal. So that's why Uttara is very intelligently surrendering only unto Krishna. So the same way all the Brajavasis decided to surrender to Krishna, and Krishna lifts Govardhan, everybody is under Krishna's care, and they were having the best time of their lives. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says there were two types of rain happening that time. The one that was pouring down from Indra can be compared to the material rain. Birth, death, old age, diseases, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, the distress of the material world. But the second one, the second rain, was happening under Govardhan. So what was that rain? That rain was Krishna Saundarya Vrushti. He says Krishna Prema Vrushti. He says that Krishna was pouring down the rain of his love upon the Brajabasis. For the rain to happen, there has to be cloud, right? And which was the cloud in that rain under Govardhan? It was Ghanashyama Sundar. Ghanashyam is Krishna's form, Krishna's bodily color, luster is like a dark rain cloud. So that Ghanashyam was the cloud, and he is pouring down the love, the nectar of his love upon the Brajabasis. And was there any thunder? Was there any lightning? Yes. The gopis, the beautiful gopis, their angakanti, their shining, lustrous body can be compared to the lightning. So he says that all those who took shelter of Krishna, they escaped the rain of Bhavatap. Just like Uddhav Maharaj says, Tapatrayena bhihatasya ghore santapyamanasya bhavadhvanisha pashyami nanya charanam tavangre dvandvat apatrat amruta bhivarshat. My dear Lord Krishna, the persons who are suffering extremely in this material world, they are distressed because they are being forced by the threefold miseries of the world. Tapa, Trayena, three types of miseries are being forced on the living entities. They are extremely in distressed conditions. Santapya manasya bhavadhvanish. But I don't seek shelter anywhere else. Pashyami na anyat charanam tavangre, except your beautiful lotus feet, which can be compared to an umbrella, which showers down the nectar of your love. So Uddhav Maharaj is saying that all the living entities who are suffering in the material world, they have this best benediction that they can surrender at your lotus feet. They can enjoy the same nectarian rain that pours down from your lotus feet. So in that sense, we can understand that how important it is to surrender to Krishna, to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. It is so important, especially in the human form of life. Here, we're coming to the last section of today's purport. Srila Prabhupada says, the intelligent person should not try to be promoted from third class prison life to first class prison life. Meaning, we should not try to get some heavenly body for some temporary heavenly relief. Rather, we should try to be released from the prison altogether. Actually, human form of life, especially on the earth, is so rare. It is so fortunate that even the demigods in the upper planetary systems, they are eager to take birth as humans on the earth. Santa Tukaram, he says, Swargite amar ichchitati deva मृत्युलोकी वहावा जन्म आम्हा नारायण नामे होवु जीवन मुक्त कीर्तनी अनंत गाओ गीति. He says that all the demigods in the heavenly planets, they are so eager, they think that we want to take birth on the earth as human beings. Why? Because in the human form of life, it is so easy to surrender to Krishna. It is so easy to surrender to a spiritual master. And then just by chanting Krishna's name, Narayana Name Ho'u Jivan Mukta, one can become Jivan Mukta. One can become completely free in the same very body, in the same very lifetime. One can become completely free from all material existence. That's why all the demigods are so much attracted to even the human form of life. They want that human form of life which we already have. In the 10th canto, the purport Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that when the different plants, creepers in the Vaikuntha, they saw the greatness of Tulsi Devi, they thought that we also want to go on earth and we want to perform some austerities just like Tulsi Maharani, and we also would be great like her. So even Vaikunthiche Jana Sada Ichhitati Kai Yethe Yeti Hariche Dasa. He says that even the personalities in Vaikuntha, they also come on the earth. Because Krishna comes on earth. Krishna descends as a human. So it's so important to understand, realize what we have. What we have is something desired by even the demigods. Even the personalities in Vaikuntha, they think, oh, we should come on earth. We can do kirtan. We can glorify Krishna. We can become Jivan Mukta. Of course, the personalities in Vaikuntha, they are Jivan Mukta, but they also desire, okay, we want to come and perform the austerities. We also want to preach. And we also want to take part in glorifying Krishna. So we should realize what we have, the most precious human form of life. And once we realize, we will realize that we are not just humans. We are humans which have been blessed by a great Acharya. So Srila Prabhupada has come, he has blessed, he has already made our lives more fortunate than we can imagine. We are not just any human beings on earth. We are very special that we have come in contact with pure representative of Krishna. And even after if we don't surrender, then it will be a big misfortune. Just like King Kulashekar says, Ashcharya me tad dhimanushya loke sudham parityajya visham pibanti namani narayana gocharani tyaktwanya vacha kuha kaha pathanti. He says, what a big wonder this is, that in the Manushya Loke, the people who have achieved the human form of life, which is desired by even the demigods, even after getting human form of life, if they are wasting that human form of life, there cannot be anything more wonderful than that. So we should take this opportunity very seriously and surrender unto Srila Prabhupada, surrender unto Krishna more deeper. Every moment, every passing day, we should realize more about Krishna, do more service, and make our life more glorious. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Any questions, any comments? Yes, you and then you.
Haribol.
Yes, bro.
On that last point about the demigods, it may seem confusing that according to the verse, by your karma, you get elevated. So generally they're being elevated from the human platform. But now we're saying, oh, they're already demigods, but they want to become human, which actually happens automatically. Shinye punya marcha lokam. They come back down after their pious credits run out. So why would they be hankering? I think the point that's missing is that they hanker to come during this period, during the time when Lord Chaitanya has established his movement. That is when it becomes easy. And this is when they want to come. Not just in general, they want to come back to be humans. They were already humans. They got promoted to heavenly planets, and they will automatically come down to human again. We know they come down in the rain, and the rain is put in the grain, and then the man eats. So that's going to happen automatically. Why would they hanker? They're hankering because of Lord Chaitanya's movement. They want to come and take part in Lord Chaitanya's movement.
That's fine.
Haribol. Thank you for an interesting class, full of pastimes, full of interesting events. I just want to make one point, which is possibly a little different than the points that you were making, and that is I got something completely different from this pastime that you were narrating. The main point that I got, at least from the Krishna book, is that Indra, who is a demigod, who is chief of the demigods, as a result of being enamored proud, thinking he's so important, thinking he's so valuable, thinking he's so powerful, that he totally forgot his relationship that he has with Krishna. And saw Krishna, who was his master, he saw him as just a 7-year-old boy who was making a lot of noise, who was this talkative little boy Krishna. Why do we have to listen to him, and why should we even concern ourselves with him? I will show everybody here who is the real master. And of course he ended up being the real servant, which he had to be, and which he actually was, but he had totally forgotten his servitorship position as. And this is what it all teaches all of us, is that no matter how big, no matter how great, no matter how wonderful, no matter how glorious you are, and think you are, you can easily forget who your real master is, which is, as you made a nice point, is Krishna. And that you are always the servant of Krishna. And not because Krishna looks like a 7-year-old boy and looks ordinary and speaks like a 7-year-old boy with a high-pitched voice, that necessarily he is that. So Indra became filled with Maya. That was his situation. He forgot who Krishna was. He forgot his relationship with Krishna was that of a servant and nothing more and nothing less, and that he should have honored Krishna instead of being envious of him. And that's the second point, is that when Krishna was going to when Krishna was acting in a, what you might say, apparently offensive way to Indra, because it was supposed to be the Indra Yajna. It was supposed to be a worship of Indra. And Krishna said, why are you wasting your time honoring, worshiping, glorifying Indra? He's nobody. He's a nothing. He didn't like that. Especially when you're proud, when you're big, when you're great, when you're glorious, when you think you're the best, and somebody is saying he's just a demigod. No, we should be worshiping Govardhan Hill, who is none different from Krishna. And by worshiping Govardhan Hill, you get some true, real benefit. The benefit of the blessings of the Supreme Lord. So the point, again, I would just sum this up by saying, is that as soon as we become powerful, great, glorious, wonderful, and everybody applauds us and bows down to us and looks up to us, we have to be very careful, because just as Indra, he forgot that he was just a little nothing next to Krishna. He was thinking he's Krishna's boss. That was his stupidity, his foolishness. And that's what power makes us, stupid, foolish, and ridiculous, when we don't acknowledge the source of that power, which is Krishna. Once we acknowledge the source, then we realize we are the servant. And as long as we maintain the servitorship mentality, we are in a properly situated situation, one which actually keeps us in the transcendental position. But as soon as we begin to think we are better, higher, glorious, and that everyone around us is smaller, insignificant, and good for nothing, and that I am the best, I am the greatest, we are falling into Maya, and from Maya we commit offenses, and the offense, of course, was, as you mentioned so very graphically, that he put on a big show of rain, and lots and lots of rain with icicles and all of these kind of things, which could kill cows, could kill so many people. So that was his show. But what happened in that show? As you mentioned again, Krishna held up the hill on his left little pinky and made Indra look like a fool and a weakling. His reign then eventually evaporated and stopped. And he had to step back and say, yes, this person has defeated me. He had to realize he was not Indra the great king, but Indra the little insignificant servant. And once that happened, Krishna accepted him again, of course, as his as one of his servants. So he could have punished him severely, but he didn't, because he knew that he had gone astray and he had to be shown the right path. So that's what I got out of this particular pastime, is that we all have to be very, very careful, and we all have to be very respectful. We have to honor those who are great. We have to think of ourselves as whatever greatness we have, whatever might that Krishna gives us, whatever applause or bowing down Krishna gives us, that all belongs to Krishna. We should not care for any of that as belonging to ourselves, because it's absolute. This whole chapter is the source of all of our greatness and goodness is Krishna. And if we keep that in mind, we don't make that silly mistake that Indra made in thinking that he was all in all. That's all.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll talk to him. Right. Yes, Prabhu.